So once we know what our research process is, so now it's time to understand the philosophy behind your research in detail. So let's start the research paradigm. The research paradigm is actually, it's relevant to the philosophical and theoretical frameworks जो कि कोई सा भी एक scientific school या discipline जो है ना follow करता है, or in such that कि जो theories and laws or generalizations and the experiments जो perform होते हैं वो in support of that framework होते हैं, और या उनको formulate इस तरीके से किया जाता है कि so they are in support of that theoretical or philosophical framework. So this is a paradigm, or in other words, it's a common set of belief or common belief या agreements जो कि scientific scientists they share among themselves, and they agree on how the problems should be understood and addressed. A scientific discipline hai, and certain scientists are there, they agree on certain common beliefs या agreements कि how a problem should be addressed, या उसको problem को कैसे अपने solve करना है, उसको understand क्या करना है, that will constitute your paradigm. So the research paradigm is actually three things. Okay, you need to know the ontological beliefs, the epistemological beliefs, and you should be having your methodological beliefs. If you can answer a research question relevant to the ontology, relevant to the epistemology, and relevant to the methodology, so wo answers will comprise of your research paradigm. So it's a little bit complex, and philosophers ये research paradigms में ontology alone, epistemology alone, and methodology alone के ऊपर they debate and still are debating. But let's break it down and make it simple, so for a new researcher it is understandable कि research paradigm है क्या. So what is an ontology या ontological questions किस किस्म के हो सकते हैं और उनका आंसर किस किस्म का हो सकता है. So ontology it is about being. Being means reality. So ontology is the study of reality. Yes, it goes down to that basic notion कि reality है क्या. वाकई में the phenomena that we are researching वो real भी है या नहीं, या फिर हम dream कर रहे हैं. Or more importantly, the question जो कि ontological question है वो है कि reality क्या है. So the question is, what is out there to know? Reality क्या वाकई में ये है कि exist है या नहीं है? For instance, is it the color red? Red real है या नहीं है? Or reality is something जो कि relativistic है. I mean, there isn't one reality. There are multiple realities. Yeah, the ontologies are ontological questions, और जो answers हैं वो ये है कि the answer to this question is क्या reality एक है कि and it is an objective reality. If I come to know it or somebody else comes to know it, so the knowing is the same. या फिर ये subjective reality है कि if I try to know it, so for you it is something else and for me it is something else. Example लेते हैं to make it a little bit more understandable कि reality which is objective is something like I say 1, 2, 3. So if I'm a researcher, my ontological belief is कि reality exists और वो एक है. That means if I come across 1, 2, 3, I know it is as 1, 2, 3. If somebody else in some other part of the world comes to know about 1, 2, 3, he knows it in the same way कि ये 1, 2, 3 है. Or in other words, I know the color red. Color red will be color red for me. It will be color red for somebody else. It will be color red for anybody else in the world. यानी कि एक objective reality है. If I try to know that reality, मैं भी उसी reality के ऊपर आऊँगी, conclude करूँगी जो कि एक XYZ in some other part of the world conclude करेगा. Or to put it even more in a simple manner, the phenomena that are around our physical world, unki reality is an objective reality. For example, if there's a law, and we say Newton law of motion, न्यूटन अगर न्यूटन की जगह कोई और researcher in another part of the world ये discover करता, तो for him or for her your reality is an objective reality. So it just doesn't end here कि सारी realities objective नहीं होती हैं. See this, our world is very complex. So there is a reality which can be relativistic in nature. Yani कि if I come to know that reality, that is different for me as compared to somebody else who arrive at that reality. An example could be happiness. Happiness for me as a researcher, it can be different. And happiness for another researcher in another part of the world, it is going to be different. It's not going to be shaped in such a way कि if I arrive at it, तो मैं उसे वैसे ही understand करूँ जिस तरह another person from another part of the world उसको understand करेगा. So there's a kind of subjectivity in that. So ontological question is an important one क्योंकि the way we do research, the answer to that will actually dictate our research methods and our overall research philosophy वो उसको dictate करेगा. Alright, so second, the question जो important है in order to form our research paradigm, that is an epistemological question. So epistemology, it means के the study of knowledge or the nature of knowledge. So we already know that we already know about the theory of knowledge. Theory of knowledge हमने पढ़ी थी. It's about a knowledge. How do we know if something is a knowledge? If it's a justified true belief. Justification भी होनी चाहिए. It should be truth, and one has to believe it as well. ये three conditions होनी चाहिए for somebody to know something, right? तो उसके अंदर justification समझ आती है. We should have a reason for it. We should have evidence for it, and belief भी समझ आता है कि we internalize it कि this thing exists. Lekin what about the truth? How do you know if something or a claim that you make is the truth? So there we have the theory of truth. See this. There are multiple ways a researcher can arrive at a truth. Or our normal everyday position on the truth is something जो कि exist करता है, and it's a fact, but it's not necessarily the same way that it's not the only way that somebody makes a claim, and the only way he can know that claim is the truth is by looking at the fact. बल्कि there are multiple ways a person or a researcher can arrive at a truth. So let's have a look at about the theory of the truth to understand what that epistemology is. So the way you can know something is true if it is a fact, that is, there's a correspondence between what you know and what out there is. If the जो facts मौजूद हैं उनके साथ अगर आप correspond करोगे अपनी claim को, तो that is one way of knowing the truth. An example could be कि red color exists, or let's take a little bit complex example कि जो rainbow है वो colorful है. How do you know? You actually go and correspond it to the rainbow. It has multiple colors. So the fact is there, the rainbow is there. आप अपनी claim लो कि the rainbow is colorful. It becomes a fact because your claim is being correspondence with the fact, or fact क्या, the rainbow itself, it consists of 7 colors. Another way of arriving at the fact is coherence. Coherence is about interrelation of facts. That means आपके पास पहले से एक framework मौजूद है where you have multiple facts in it, and then you have a claim. How do you know that claim that you made is actually fact? वो तब fact होगा, वो तब true होगा when that claim actually has a coherence with already contained facts, already contains truth in your framework, right? And I'll just give you an example of this type, but let us just finish the third way of knowing the truth, and that is through consensus. And you can know something is true if it works in the real world, or everybody agrees to it, it really works. So let's take one example and map it to correspondence, coherence, and consensus. See this, I told you about Claire C. Patterson in my previous videos. He was known for his contribution towards knowing, giving the most accurate to date quantity in terms of age of the earth. Okay, what is the age of the earth using his using his research, right? So for him, understanding, coming to know about this truth, okay, what is the age of the earth, he did a correspondence way of knowing the truth, a corresponding way of arriving at that knowledge. And that is how उसने देखा zircon crystals हैं, उसने ये देखा कि a certain amount of lead has to be present. So by corresponding his claims with the actual facts जो कि exist करते थे in nature में, he was able to arrive at the knowledge of what is the age of the earth. He just calculated it. Claire C. Patterson is also known for multiple researches that he did in order to tell the world कि the जो lead at that point of time when he was researching, उसकी जो amount है, that is dangerously high, and it was already established it's not good for the humans. Lekin he had to establish this truth, this knowledge, the amount of lead is unprecedented. And what he did was he did a coherence approach. He followed a coherence approach in order to know that his claim is the true one and arrived at this knowledge. और वो उसने किस तरह किया? He made multiple expeditions, number one, and he arrived at one truth. That is, he did an expedition to the Arctic region to get the ice core samples in order to establish this truth कि historically speaking in the climate जो कि बहुत before the humans were, उस वक्त lead की जो content है वो क्या था environment में. फिर एक और जो उसने जो truth निकाला, he did expedition to the seas where he got samples from the deeper layers of the ocean to arrive at this truth. Okay, even then this fact कि आज today's world में जो अभी lead की जो proportion है, that is way higher than the proportion that was before a certain time period. And so these two facts, they were cohering with each other. And as a result of this interrelation and coherence of these two facts, he was able to arrive at this truth कि today's जो lead की जो proportion है in the environment, that is off the charts. So using coherence, he arrived at the truth, and he made new knowledge, that is जो वो कोई research कर रहा था. And then the consensus, I told you he had to battle for maybe multiple years in order to make the American justice system to come across a law that stops the जो relevant stakeholders say the production of lead. And he did that by by consensus, by making everybody believe that what he's trying to do, it actually works, and everybody should agree on that. So there are different ways of arriving at your the truth, and there are different ways of arriving at how something, if it is true or not. And hence it tells us कि knowledge जो है वो nature, the way we approach knowledge is different, and the way we know knowledge is going to be different. So these questions actually allow us to know the epistemological belief of our research kya hai. And it also allows us whatever epistemological belief that we are following in our research, that tells us what is the obstacle or limitations kya hai of knowing about a particular thing, yani of the way we know a particular thing uski limitations kya hai. Example could be, I give you example from the correspondence approach, and that is, in that case, if you're trying to know the truth or trying to gain knowledge, the way you gain knowledge is through your senses, right? You need to correspond to the whatever fact that you already have. For instance, for you to know the rainbow is of multiple colors, so आपने उसके साथ correspond करना है using your senses. So here, using correspondence approach, the way you know it, that means you're limited by your sensory apparatus that you might have. Yeah, you जो आपके पास at that time, moment of time, whatever apparatus that you have that is able to observe that fact, उसकी limitations क्या हैं. And similarly, for other ways of knowing a new knowledge, so the epistemological belief help us to know whatever reality ontological belief that we have, or whatever way we see the reality, either it is realistic or relativistic, हमने उसको किस तरह से understand करना है. How can we know knowledge for that particular reality? And hence, the way we know that knowledge in that particular reality, there are limitations in which, as a researcher, we should be knowing. Okay, now coming to the third question, and that is the methodological question. Okay? And methodology is about the principles and procedures of inquiry when it comes to that knowledge. And the question would be, a methodological question would be, how can we go about acquiring that knowledge? So there are many, how we go about, the way we plan in acquiring a particular knowledge. So it could be empirical in nature, yani where you have to observe, or it could be analytical when we're analyzing multiple facts, or it could be something that we cannot observe, but we have to be part of it in order for that knowledge so that we know it. So we can acquire knowledge through some methods, जिनकी जो principles या procedures हैं, वो हमारे methodological beliefs बनते हैं. So ontology dictates what reality is. Epistemology is how we go about knowing things relevant to the particular reality in our discipline, and methodology is how we can acquire that knowledge that pertains to a particular reality. So this forms the larger picture in our research. Okay? Instead of just having the methods in front of us, जो कि हमें नजर आते हैं, that is the tip of the iceberg, the bigger part is those ontological, epistemological and methodological beliefs जो कि underlie करता है हमारी research को. So if we have a particular research paradigm, that means we have limitations of doing research in that particular paradigms, or there are certain ways in which we should be doing research in that particular paradigm.